Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Eczema podcast. Today, I have an amazing guest on our show because I have a real life testimony of someone who has actually been through the eczema on her hands and she has come out the other end and her skin has gotten so much better. I know that today will encourage you a lot. And so I am just so excited to bring her here and for her to share her story. So, welcome, Michelle, to the show. I am excited that you're here. I've been wanting to have you here for a while. So, welcome.
Awesome. Thank you, Abby. Thanks for having me here. I'm really excited to be able to share my story.
My pleasure. And Michelle has been one of our clients who we've worked with for a while. And I figured that because her skin had such a big turnaround, that today would be the perfect day for her to finally share her testimony and how she got better. So I'm excited to dive in, and I'm excited that you're going to be able to share your story and encourage other people who are watching as well.
Thank you. I really hope this encourages others as well.
I once told you that I know you were having hard times before, but I once told you when you had your flares and you were having really, really difficult and some darker days and discouragement, I remember sharing with you that things are going to get better. Right now, you're having a hard time, but one day you're going to share your story. It's going to encourage others. Your test is going to become your testimony, and your mess is going to become your message. And it looks like things are finally happening, and it makes me really happy to see that.
They are. And I remember you saying that to me. And, in the moment, it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. But then when it does, you kind of think back and look back at how true that really is. And these were the stories that I listened to all the time. I mean, I listened to your podcast. I'd look up other people's healing stories, and it's what encouraged me and kept me going and motivated.
That's amazing. I'm so happy to hear about that. So let's start from the very beginning. What was your skin like? How long have you had eczema for, and how much did it bother you?
Sure. I started noticing little patches of eczema, I'd say in like 2018 or so. There were always little patches of eczema kind of like on my hand, on the top, like on the sides. And I'd always just go and get kind of steroid creams for it because they were little small patches and they didn't bother me. I just wanted to get them covered. And then they just kept coming back, more so in 2020, at the start of 2020, January. And I'd go to, I've gone to the dermatologist, and all they kept giving me were just steroid creams for my hand because it just kept getting worse. Every time I'd ask for another cream on my hands, the eczema kept coming back with like a vengeance. It was really in 2020, halfway through, where I started developing what's called dyshydrotic eczema. And they're small little, they kind of look like pimples that show up all on your hand, and they pop and they ooze, and it itches and it dries up, and you can't open and close your hands. And I've never had that before. And that's kind of really when it started in 2020. And it wasn't until January 2021, I think, where I've kind of had it with using the steroid creams. And that's when I found you, Abby, on Instagram. And it took me a little bit of time to I found you actually halfway through 2020, but I kind of waited a little bit to see if things would go away on their own. And they didn't. They just kept getting worse. My doctor kept telling me that I just have to keep using steroid creams. And I noticed that I'd stop it for 2 weeks and then it'd come back even worse. And that's when I kind of had it and was tired and was seeking an alternative route. And that's when I kind of came across your Instagram page and started doing a little bit of research and listened to other people's stories. And yeah, that's kind of how it all happened.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for sharing everything that you've gone through. And I know you also mentioned that your hands actually disrupted you in your daily life as well, especially as a teacher. Do you want to share more about that as well?
Sure. There were times where, I couldn't cook. I had to wear gloves when I would cook because if I held a raw onion or potato in my hand, it would cause my hand to completely flare up, even though it was already flared, so it would make it 10 times worse. I'd wear cotton gloves all the time when I cleaned. I had to wear gloves in the shower for almost a year. I remember dreading having to take showers because I did not want to get in there and put shampoo on my hands to wash my hair. I'd put cotton gloves on and then I'd put another pair of like vinyl gloves on top of that and put a rubber band on it. And I did that for almost a year. And I did that with cooking. I did it with cleaning. I would hide my hands at work because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't pick things up. I couldn't use hand sanitizer. I mean, this was all during like the start of like the pandemic was happening. So I could not function or use my hands whatsoever. It was extremely debilitating. And there were days where I just like cried asleep because I couldn't use my hands. I'm like, I can't do a normal task that anyone would do. I can't shower. I can't wash my hair. I can't cook. And it was hard. It was hard. I think there were times where I'm just like, I don't even want these, I don't want my hands anymore. Like I can't even use something. You use your hands for everything that you do in life. And to not be able to use them like a normal person, it was very debilitating.
Thank you for sharing that. And I know how tough it was for you. I remember when we had our group calls that you would come on every single week and share things that you had gone through. And even though it's only localized to your hands, it still is and can be debilitating. We work with a lot of people that even though they might have more severe cases where it's all over their body or it's in different parts of their body, some people might feel that because it's all over the body that it's more painful and debilitating, which in some cases it is, but we also have milder cases that we work with where it still is debilitating and it disrupts your life even though it is localized to the hands. Yeah. So let's start the journey of when we first started working together, because I want to go back to the process, which can help other people understand what you went through, because I'm sure doctors told you that the only way to get better is through using medication or cream after cream, I'm guessing.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much. I think I got to the point of frustration and feeling like I wasn't being listened to. We, with my dermatologist, we did a patch test to see what are some things that I'm allergic to. And I came up with this long list of things that I basically have to avoid in order for maybe my eczema to get better. And it's a long list of stuff to be able to have to avoid. And it didn't seem right. It didn't seem like that was the answer. And I remember getting so desperate going one day, and they said, well, we just gave you the strongest steroid cream there is. There's nothing else we can do other than possibly going on some kind of drug like Dupixent, or even that they said is not guaranteed, and it's very, very expensive. And that's not something I wanted to do because it just seemed like, I remember getting so frustrated. It's like, these all feel like temporary fixes. This is not like getting to that root cause of what's going on. So I just remember saying, like, I don't even know if I can. I had friends saying, go to a different dermatologist. I said, I've been to multiple dermatologists and it's the same thing over and over again. And I trust them and I know that, this is what they know, but I just didn't feel like I was being listened to. Even saying, what if I change my diet or anything like that? And diet was never even an option. They're like, it's not gonna really help. This is a skin condition. So I just remember getting really frustrated and crying a lot. And I was like, there's gotta be another alternative.
So I appreciate you for sharing that. And let's take a deeper dive into what it was like when you first started your healing process, because I love that instead of having to avoid certain things, we really took a root cause approach for what you're going through. And because of that, you are so much better. Your skin is so much better now. It's taken a complete 180-degree turn. So what was the process like when we first started working together, just to help people understand what is it like when we take you from A to Z and we start to actually chip away at the root cause and get to the bottom of it so that your flares really go down once and for all. And now you're off the steroids, right?
Yeah. I have not used steroids in, let's see how long, a year, a year and a half to 2 years, I think. I haven't used steroids. So yeah, that's good. Yeah. The first thing I realized, like from our first meeting that we had with one another, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm being listened to. I think that was my first sense of like, this is going to be really good. It's going to be a really hard journey. I know for me, it's like, for many of us, I think we expect something to instantly help you and cure it and make things go away. I think I was scared because I knew that this was going to be a long process. But what I was so impressed with and what I was so grateful for was all the testing that I had to do, like to take, like whether it was doing a stool test, looking at my blood test, going through a detailed form of every single symptom and every single thing that I go on, like that's happening to me and in my body that a doctor might not have ever done before. So to be able to, I think I would really appreciate it, especially in the beginning, of you and Jen, especially, like looking at the whole person, everything that you've experienced, that you've gone through in your life and in your body, all your symptoms, everything. I knew that was when this was going to be a good step for me, because I was being listened to and I was being evaluated like I should be evaluated by my symptoms and everything that's going on. I think there were times where I definitely probably lost patience and probably lost hope a couple times, because things got worse before they got better.
Some people experience a healing crisis or a detox reaction, but you kept going and your skin has gotten so much better. It looks so good right now.
It does. I mean, I look at my hands every day and I'm just like, I'm so grateful. I'm like, I can use my hands to cook and to wash my clothes or whatever it is, wash my hair. And I mean, it was a long process, and there's still, there's always still healing to do, continued healing to do, but it is like night and day for me.
Wow, that's amazing. So just to give our listeners some background, we do a lot of thorough assessments so we can actually dig into what could be causing your flares to happen. So we do online assessments where it asks a series of questions to get a gauge on what symptoms that you're experiencing, where these imbalances can lie, where the issues can lie. We get a good gauge on whether the digestive system is out of balance, whether certain other systems in the body are out of balance, because that gives us clues on what to work for, especially because the digestive system is tied to the skin health and immune health as well, which I've talked about in previous podcast episodes. If you want to learn more about that, we also took a deep dive into looking at you mentioned the stool test / gut test, so we're able to get a sense of the gut microbiome, and it is an FDA approved test as well, and so we're able to get a sense of the health of your gut microbiome, especially because 70 to 80% of your immune system is located in your gut. So it makes sense that we want to see the health of your gut, and also because there can be pathogens or overgrowth of bacteria or fungal issues which can show up on that test. It gives us a good idea of what we need to work on and what we can work on as well. And so there are various different testing options, but depending on what each person is going through. But I'm so glad that we got to actually work on that with you, and that with our team, we're able to dig a little further. Other things that are important that I know we asked as well on your first initial meeting were things like whether there were dental issues, how long you're breastfed for, what type of water you drink with and shower with, whether there's any trauma or medication you've used, or even how you're born, whether through C-section or natural birth. And most people wouldn't think about those questions, but they're so important because they give a good gauge on how your gut microbiome has developed today, and also how your immunity is today. It gives a sense of how well your immune system has been built today, because we see a lot of our clients, we've noticed a pattern where a lot of them have been breastfed for less than 3 to 6 months, and so that part is also really huge on building the immune system as well.
Yeah, it's amazing how I've learned so much along this process. I did my own research and stuff, and it's amazing because the time where my eczema started developing was when I started having digestive issues. It was coming back from traveling abroad. I know we talked about parasites being possibly one of the causes, and from being in third world countries quite often I came in the last 10 years of my life. And throughout this healing process of my eczema, my digestive system has drastically gotten better as well. So I've kind of learned how there is definitely that connection there, and I've noticed a change there as well.
That's amazing. And I know you mentioned at the beginning you were using steroids, and so I also want to really emphasize that we never want anyone to feel guilty if they have to use medication, and we never want to have that judgment as well. So it's always something that we will always work alongside with you on. If you're using Dupixent, steroids, or other types of medication or antihistamine, we'll work with you and work alongside you or your doctor. And so what we have found is that, especially with our clients, as their skin gets better, they can slowly start to wean off of the steroids over time until they don't actually need it anymore. And that's happened with several of our clients. Did you actually have to use steroids during the process, Michelle?
I did not. I had already stopped using the steroids because they were making it worse for me. But I know someone who went through a local naturopathic doctor who they stayed on the steroids until they kind of got a handle of what was going on and working with their naturopath just to kind of help ease and calm the symptoms. And that worked for her like really, really well in order to. So I know that we all have different ways that we can take on things, and we have to do what's best for us.
Yeah, I agree. And I know some people might have an impression at first that we don't work with any type of conventional medicine, and I just want to break that thought as well, because we know how difficult it is for some people. Some people really need that relief, and it's easy to get discouraged and to have your life be disrupted. So if it is something that you do need, we completely understand. So I know that Michelle, at the beginning, we had worked on strengthening your digestion. We worked on your intestinal immunity as well. We did some detoxification. We worked on helping to support your overall skin health, your gut health. We used some cell core products. We also gave you some lymphatic support, especially because the lymph system helps remove unwanted substances out of the body. It helps support your immune system as well. So did you want to share anything to do with any of the protocols that you went on?
Yeah, I remember just having to start on my protocols really slowly because I think some of the supplements can be a little strong. And I do remember, like, and I think, I've shared this with you before, once I kind of got to that full dosage of protocol supplements, that's kind of, for me, I know every person's different, that's kind of when I noticed a massive flare. But with every protocol, I noticed a change in my skin. Like, I noticed that the flares weren't as severe, and they were like much longer in between each flare. So yes, and I noticed a difference also from my first protocol about just with how I felt, like physically, my body. I had more energy, I was sleeping better. I kind of just noticed different things, different types of progression with each protocol that I was on. But even throughout those protocols, there were still those like ups and downs in my flares and my eczema. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of, yes, my journey.
And one thing I do want to point out is that healing is not linear, and not everyone has a quick fix. It does take time, like Michelle shared about in the beginning. But what we find is that even though there's the ups and the downs, one thing we're really looking for is that the flares get shorter in duration and less in severity as well. And it sounds like that's what happened with yours.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. And it's really interesting. Like, after I was halfway through my second protocol, or I was just ending my second protocol, I noticed like a drastic shift. It was very interesting how that happened. Yeah.
I also want to point out, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I really remember this for you. So some of our clients don't always get better at the beginning, but one thing that we have found is that even if their skin doesn't get better, other parts of their body end up getting better, and other symptoms. So just as an example, after the first protocol that you went on, and in case anyone's wondering what a protocol is, it's basically like a plan that includes your supplement plan and diet recommendations as well. And so for you, Michelle, I remember you saying that you didn't notice a difference in your skin after the first protocol, but you noticed that your insomnia got a lot better, and your anxiety went down significantly.
I mean, I was anxious all the time, and to see my anxiety go down drastically, and to sleep a full 7 to 8 hours without getting up in the middle of the night and waking up feeling refreshed, I never knew what that was like before. So I noticed those little shifts and changes in my body. Not necessarily like you said with my eczema, but yeah.
So did you always just wake up in the middle of the night and you had a lot of anxiety and worry?
I would, yes. And I'd always wake up between a certain time. Like, I'd always wake up between like 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning. And sometimes it'd be hard for me to fall asleep because my anxiety would kind of just spin. Or I'd wake up really early in the morning. Like, I'd put my alarm on for 6 a.m., but then I'd change it to 6:15, change it to 6:30 because I just didn't want to get out of bed. And I actually get up during my alarm and have this energy to wake up, probably because I slept really well throughout the night.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I remember being so happy to hear that even though it wasn't your skin that noticed the difference, because I knew that your skin healing was going to come. I just knew that it was going to come later, even though you didn't see it right away. So the fact that your insomnia went away, your anxiety went down significantly, it's almost like you became a different person.
Yes, that's exactly what it felt like. Yes.
Did
Yes.
your family and friends comment on that as well?
They know, I mean, I shared it with them. I was so open with them, with what, especially like my coworkers and my family. Like I told them what I was going through and what I decided to do, and they were all very supportive. And I tell them like, this is how I'm feeling. Like I feel great, and I think they were just like really supportive of me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really love that when we actually tackle the root cause, it's not just the skin gets better, but it's pretty much the body holistically, because we are working with your body as a whole rather than just topically on the skin.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And I continue to see those changes to this day. So,
That's amazing. And
yeah.
so for you, I don't think you noticed the difference until the second protocol, if I'm correct.
Yeah, probably towards the end of the second protocol.
And how many months would you say it took for you to actually notice a difference? And I know part of the way you went on a trip to
Yes.
Spain, so there was that break. But how long would you say it took approximately?
Let's see, I think I started protocol like in end of January, early February.
Yeah, it looks
Maybe
like January,
four,
end of
yeah,
January.
maybe 3 to 4 months. And then it was probably around the 6 month mark, probably around May or June. It was actually right before my trip, when I started noticing the biggest difference. And even now, even better.
Wow.
Yeah.
I do remember you at times just getting really impatient, like feeling like, when is this gonna heal? Like this is
Yeah.
so frustrating. It's disrupting your life. But you were patient till the end, and we've had some people where they aren't as patient, and it's easy to get discouraged because some people want a quick fix. But if you are looking to create the longest lasting change, it really comes from the inside out, where your insides of the body, the organs which are most vital for survival, get better first, and the skin often is the last place to heal. And so when there's that patience, it really is worth the freedom, because now, like you mentioned, it's a complete 180-degree turn. You are not experiencing the same disruptions in your life. You have the freedom to live like a normal person again without worrying about having to shower or, see people. And I really love that for you.
Yeah, it's amazing. I noticed I stopped. It's funny. I remember packing cotton gloves with me just in case on my trip to Spain. So I took a 4 or 5 week trip to Spain, a backpacking trip, and I packed gloves with me just in case because I was afraid that I would flare. I wasn't on a protocol at that time. Jen had put me on a travel protocol, which I stuck to every single day on my trip. And I remember 1 week into the trip, I took the gloves and I threw them away, and I did
Wow.
not need them the rest of the trip. And ever since then, which was at the end of May, I have not. I'll wear cotton gloves just to, like, when I put lotion on, just to kind of keep in the moisture and stuff, or I'll wear gloves when I do dishes just to protect my hands anyway. But I don't have them by my side all the time anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even just hearing what you're sharing, it's like your life has changed so much. And I love hearing that for you.
And
How
I'm
would
so grateful. I mean, I think you have, every time I'd reach out with a question or a concern or, what's happening, to be able to be heard and be responded to, I think that really helped with my journey as well.
And that's our goal. My goal is to allow you and even other people listening. My goal is to make sure that you feel heard, you feel seen, you feel important and validated, and that we acknowledge everything you're feeling. Because we offer complimentary breakthrough calls for people who want to learn more about getting insight into what they're going through, and either if they're interested in learning how we can help them, or they just want some guidance on their healing journey. The thing that I hear the most on those calls is that their doctor doesn't seem to listen to them, or doesn't seem to acknowledge them or validate them, and they get told that they have to go on medication after medication for their for their whole life. And I still do appreciate everything that doctors are doing for us, and I understand that it is their way, that they have been trained and taught to help us as well. But I also feel so bad for a lot of people who feel like they aren't being listened to or heard, and they're only seen for a few minutes all the time. And so our goal is that we actually meet with you longer, and we spend that time to learn all about your health history from when you're born to right now, everything you've gone through, any traumas, any other dental things like dental issues I mentioned earlier, because it's tied to your skin health, which I've interviewed several dentists on the show and showed research papers on. And so because of that, yeah, I really, one of my biggest goals is to encourage you or even anyone out there who is suffering from the flare ups, whether it's eczema or topical steroid withdrawal, because I never want to see anyone else suffer from this for one more day, because it's so painful, it's hard, and I've been there before. And I really love that you were so honest as well, Michelle, with sharing everything that you've gone through and really coming to us to work together so we could help you with this.
I'm really grateful and blessed that I came across you on Instagram, because I am so grateful for where I am today. I'm grateful for the community of people that, because it's not just me, there are other people in the Eczema Conquerors program who, it's a community who supports one another. And I think that sometimes that's what you need. You need that community who knows and understands what you're going through. And that also helps in the healing process as well.
And I love that you came on every week to those group calls, because everyone is working alongside you. They're all on the same journey. Some are at a faster speed, some are at a slower speed, but everyone is on their own journey. And even people who have seen a lot of healing, they still want to come back to give to others and offer their time. And so I really love that everyone is here to support one another. Even if you're listening, our goal is to continue to provide these testimonies, encouragements, and even informational resources so that it equips you and empowers you with knowledge to help you get better as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So for you, Michelle, is there anything else you want to add in terms of what things were like before and what things are like now after we've worked together and we've seen so much significant progress in your healing?
Yeah, other than everything that I said about how I just, I couldn't use my hands for anything. And to be able to look at my hands now, and it's like night and day, to be able to just use them to do normal things every single day. It was hard. I can say that the process is difficult, but it's so worth it. It is so worth it. And you learn a lot more about yourself and your body and your symptoms, and you have that support along the way. I've learned a lot. I've learned so much. And to this day right now, I continue to apply what I've learned in my life, in my health life, whether it's taking certain supplements in order to kind of, continue to, supplement my body and my health, to eat properly, and to also to enjoy life at the same time, because we're human, but to kind of create that really good, healthy balance in my life. And to know, there are times where I know where I'm really, really stressed, and I know it's a little bit of a difference in my eczema, but that's when I realize that I need to take a step back and relax and calm down. And things are still not where they were almost a year and a half ago. It's like night and day is how I see it. And I'm so grateful.
Amazing. So you mentioned that you've taken some things that you've learned along the journey and applied it to now. Do you feel like you're able to eat a lot of things that you couldn't before, that you may have reacted to?
Yes, definitely. There are some things where I'll treat myself on the weekends too, with friends that I don't normally do during the week. And I noticed I've tolerated it. I'll be honest, and I'll say, a couple weeks ago, I had pizza and I had no flare, no digestive issues, nothing. And I remember I'd either have a flare up afterwards, or I'd have to run to the bathroom afterwards. I've just noticed a drastic change. And I don't do this every day because I'm a healthy, I like to stay very healthy and eat well, but I'm able to tolerate things very, very differently, much, much better. And
Wow.
I have not had that in in years. It's been longer than the eczema that I've had.
And I remember one time, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you had alcohol, and I feel like that made you flare up, if I remember
I
correctly.
think it did. I think I had too much and it made me flare up. Yes. And I have not, like I said, I don't drink every single day, but maybe once on the weekends, and I don't have any issues. Like, it's not, and I try to stay away from it as much as possible because I know that's still like a disruption to your digestive system and everything. But I can do it in moderation from time to time.
Amazing. I am so happy to hear that you have your life back.
Thank
And
you.
that just, it's bringing me a lot of, I feel so emotional. And it's just, this is the reason why I do what I do, and our team does what we do as well, because our goal and mission in life is to see as many people as we can heal from eczema and topical steroid withdrawal. And just adding one more person to that list it makes me so happy, because we have done our job. And to see you have that freedom, where before you had to rely on creams, you had to have a certain diet because you were reacting to it, and your sleep was disrupted, there was anxiety. But now it's almost like you're a completely different person. You can have the freedom to eat foods again, you have the freedom to sleep through the night, and live like a normal person again. It brings me a lot of happiness and joy to hear about all the changes that you've made.
And thank you, because I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for all of you.
Thank you. And as much as you are thanking us, it's also been such an honor and privilege to walk with you on your journey, Michelle, because it's so nice to see that you never gave up.
Thank
And you actually put in the work and have the patience, even though I know you mentioned it's easy to lose patience sometimes, but you persevered and you never gave up. And for that, now your test has become your testimony, your mess has become your message, and you're able to encourage so many people with your healing journey and your healing story. So thank you so much for that as well, for sticking to it and being that light and that voice right now who can encourage other people out there.
I like tell everyone, don't give up. Don't give up, trust in the process, and be patient. As hard as it can be sometimes, be patient, because there is goodness that can come out of it.
Yes, amen. So true. Any last words, tips, advice you want to leave to our listeners who might be listening and they might be in that dark where they feel so discouraged and they want the same thing that you have? Any tips, advice for them?
I mean, all I can say really is to have hope. I remember writing myself an email. I wrote myself an email back in February. It was earlier in my protocol, and I sent it to myself, and it said, "Trust in the process, have hope. This is not going to be for you for the rest of your life." I think write yourself a note, say that there is hope, and then you can go back and reread that letter or that email that you wrote to yourself and say, "Wow, this was me 6 months ago, really, really struggling, but here I am now, and I've seen that light, and I know that light is going to keep getting brighter." And that you do have those people in that community, people like Abby in the community, people in general who also struggle with eczema, who you can continue to be that light for and encourage one another, because there is hope, and there is light for this condition. It's amazing how I look back on that email now, and I was crying when I was writing that email to myself. I'm so happy that I stuck through it, and I hope that you will stick through it too, and decide to take this leap of faith, because it is a leap of faith. Trusting others is hard, especially when maybe you've had a hard time trusting maybe doctors or someone else. Take that leap of faith, because I think it's worth it, and trust the process, and have faith in yourself as well.
One thing I share with people sometimes when they're really struggling is that some people struggle to make changes, to stick to a new routine, to hop on a protocol, because it's different. And so one thing I say to people sometimes is having a flare is hard, and going on a new routine or a protocol or supplement plan or diet change, that is also hard. Both are hard, but you can choose your hard. And sometimes doing a new thing or a new regimen like you were on, that is hard as well, but at least that creates long-lasting change over time that gives you the freedom to have your life back, and the things that we talked about to make that 180-degree turn. And so life is hard, but choose your hard and realize that there's so much potential for healing, for you to have that freedom to get your life back.
Yes, absolutely. Amen, Abby.
And so, if anyone is interested in checking out our program, it is our Conquer Eczema program that Michelle also joined and that we worked with her on. And we also offer 30-minute complimentary eczema breakthrough calls in case you want to learn more or you want us to give you some insight or guidance into your journey. We can do that as well. Our goal is to see you healed and to have you get the freedom from the flares, from the rashes, and to give you the tools and clarity that you need on your journey. So you can click the link in the description or head to eczemaconquerors.com. When you're there on my website, you can check out our personalized coaching program, which is tailored to you. It will be uniquely customized for you, or you can book a free call to learn more. And we would love to offer you the same breakthrough that Michelle got, because we believe in your potential to heal, your potential to get better. And so if you're feeling discouraged or in that dark place, our goal is to help you change your life and help you flip your life around so that you aren't in that dark place and you're where someone like Michelle can be, where your life has completely changed. So if you're interested, be sure to check out my website, eczemaconquerors.com, where you can find my personalized coaching program called the Conquer Eczema program. And you can also book a 30-minute complimentary breakthrough call for more information if you'd love to learn more. So thank you so much, Michelle, for just coming on today and being so raw and vulnerable about your journey and things you've gone through. It's been a very deep journey for you and a very special one because you have seen that transformation. So thank you so much for sticking to it, for not giving up. And because of that, your life has changed and you're able to touch the lives of other people now.
Thank you so much for having me, Abby. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Me too. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And I hope that you got some encouragement out of today's episode. Be sure to check out our other episodes as well so that you can be equipped and empowered with some additional knowledge and information out there that can help you on your journey. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day.